Hey guys, it's Bridget with San Diego Seed Company, and today we are out at our Ramona, California farm, and I'm going to talk a little bit about using plastic for weed prevention, or really weed management. So before I jump into that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you're notified anytime we put out a video. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the big bad P word, plastic. We all hate it, it's everywhere, and in fact, did you know that there's a new rock that geologists have named that's basically made of plastic because there's so much plastic in our environment that it's actually becoming a part of the geology? It's insane. And agriculture, unfortunately, is a big user of plastic. I am not gonna skirt over that fact. It's a dirty, dark secret of agriculture. On our farm, we try to do as much as we can to reduce our plastic waste and also recycle as much as we can and reuse. Part of the reason why we reuse so much plastic is because it's also cheaper. We don't have an endless amount of money that we can spend on our farm, so we reuse things as much as we can. And when we purchase stuff, we try to purchase high quality stuff in the beginning so that it doesn't fall apart after one season. So, this is plastic that is used to put on top of a bed. And why do commercial farmers use it, and why would you want to use it potentially in your backyard? Well, this helps us keep weeds at bay. Because it is dark, it is basically eliminating weeds from sprouting, obviously, through the plastic. It's also allowing weed seeds to germinate in this dark, moist environment, but then they're starved of light, so they end up dying. It's a very similar concept to like the silage tarp that we use. And basically, it allows us on a commercial scale to be able to grow crops that I just couldn't because the weeds are so bad out here. We have some of the worst weeds ever on our farm. We have nutsedge, which I hope you are all cringing at this. We have bindweed, we have Bermuda, and we have purslane. 4 of the worst weeds you could possibly ever have. They're here on the farm, we battle them all the time. I absolutely refuse to spray, so we have to come up with other options on how we can manage it. This plastic is one of them. Now, in your backyard scale, this may not be economical, and it might also not make sense because for you, you might have the time and the energy to be able to hand weed, which hand weeding and cultivating is always your #1 best answer. Anytime somebody asks me, well, how do I get rid of these weeds? You cultivate. You cultivate over and over and over again with a small rake, a wire weeder, anything you can use to lightly cultivate the soil. So when weeds are at their thread stage or very small stage, you can pull them out very easily. Let's see if we have an example. Like this is actually too big. You want to even pull them up when they're even smaller than that. But the point is you want to get rid of the weeds when they're small. Don't let them get too big. Now you can replicate the same way that we do this with plastic with cardboard. On our urban farm, for those of you who follow us and have toured the farm, have been to the farm, you know I am a big advocate for using cardboard to basically just suffocate weeds. They're not going to go away. They're going to come up through that cardboard later on after the cardboard has deteriorated. But it is a nice way to get a little bit of a breath of fresh air, a break when you're a new gardener and you're just battling weeds like crazy and you can't get ahead of them. Simply lay down cardboard, nice thick cardboard, hopefully a full sheet that's not, it doesn't have a bunch of cuts in it where weeds can find their way, and then lay mulch on top. And that'll at least keep them at bay for a little while until you get on top of things. Gardening and farming is about getting in a rhythm, getting the fundamentals established, and then it gets easier over time because you've already done a lot of the work in the beginning and now you're just tending to your garden constantly. So this is one way that we try to manage weeds on our farm, and it's a learning curve. We've been really trying this whole season to keep things managed. I don't want to say we're winning right now, but we're at least not losing. All right, so a few questions that you might have when you're watching this video is, well, how does the plastic actually help the weed seeds germinate? Well, there's irrigation underneath here. You can actually see right here, I've got my irrigation line. So as the irrigation runs, this stays nice and moist. The black plastic obviously keeps the soil warm, which is conducive to germination. The seeds germinate, but then they're robbed of light. They cannot continue to reproduce and they die. This works for, I'll say most weeds, but not all weeds. There's some weeds that can continue to lie dormant in there, and then as soon as I pull this plastic off, they're gonna come and take advantage of the sunlight. And that's things like Bermuda, nutsedge, purslane, and bindweed, all terrible weeds that we have here. So it's just a way to manage it. The other thing that the plastic does that is really helpful for those of you who are gardening in zone 8, 7, 6, colder climates, the plastic actually helps heat up the soil so that you can get your warm season crops in earlier and get a head start on your already very short season. For us, the plastic was helpful because we put these cucumbers in very early and the soil was still a little chilly. And they are thriving now because we kept them warm. A question you might be thinking is, can it get too hot? Because it's very thin plastic and we're irrigating regularly, it won't get so hot that it will kill the plants. Obviously, we wouldn't use it then. But it is gonna help manage the weeds. It's gonna keep moisture in the soil. And when I go to harvest these cucumbers, it's gonna be a lot easier for me because they're gonna be sitting on top of this versus sitting on the ground where tons of insects can come and bore through the produce and have some pretty ugly looking produce. So in your garden, use cardboard with mulch on top. Very easy way to do it. My grandmother used to put down newspaper. That was one way in which she would kind of basically inhibit the weed growth for a little bit. It's not a total win-win, but it is a way in which you can at least you know, take a breath and be able to get on top of it while you're taking care of other things. Right now it's spring and I've got 18 million other things to be doing. I can't be spending my whole day trying to weed these beds. All right, so this is a video all about using plastic on top of your beds for weed prevention or weed management. Now I know, I can already see the tons of comments we're gonna get about using plastic in the garden. I 100% agree that plastic needs to be reduced across every industry, and agriculture is a prime user of plastic. But please have a little heart and be a little understanding that farmers already have a very hard job to do, and some plastic products are ways in which they can reduce labor, they can reduce chemical use, and they can have healthier, happier plants, which helps keep them in business. So I'm waiting for the day that somebody, maybe one of our viewers, invents a hemp-based mulch, plastic mulch. There's a lot of ways in which we can become better users of these products, and I'm hoping that in the future, in my lifespan, we see them. But until then, this is what I have to work with.